Hey, welcome to a new video. In our world, there are places and objects shrouded in mystery, and their secrets remain unexplained. But what makes it even scarier is that these following things come from terrifying backstories. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. In a series of intriguing videos that surfaced in March 2020, a mysterious incident occurred. The video footage shows a humanoid figure effortlessly floating through the air, leaving many to wonder about its origin and purpose. According to various reports, witnesses described the sighting, noting that they observed a black object moving slowly. One of them even claimed to have seen wings and compared it to a giant bee. But upon reviewing the video footage, they realized it was a humanoid figure flying through the air. Similar sightings of flying creatures or humanoid figures soaring through the sky have been captured on camera before. Some people in the comments speculate that the flying humanoid could be an advanced drone, while others believe it's a person using a jetpack. Skeptics and scientists argue that the object is simply a large balloon. However, a prevailing hypothesis gaining popularity among believers is that the figure could be a legendary Mothman. Blucifer, also known as the Blue Mustang, is a large iconic sculpture located near Denver International Airport in Colorado, USA. The sculpture has gained notoriety due to its striking appearance, which some people find eerie and unsettling. Designed by artist Luis Jimenez, Blucifer is a rearing blue horse standing approximately 32 feet or 9.75 meters tall and weighing 8,820 pounds or 4,000 kilograms, featuring glowing red eyes. It was commissioned in 1993 as part of a public art project for the airport. However, during the creation of the sculpture, tragedy struck when Luis was killed in 2006 when part of the statue fell on him in his studio. Despite this tragic incident, it was decided to complete and install the sculpture as a tribute to the artist. Blucifer has sparked various interpretations and urban legends. Some people believe the sculpture carries a demonic presence due to its fierce stance, glowing eyes, and overall eerie appearance. The Mantle UFO incident occurred on January 7, 1948, and is one of the early and well-known cases in UFO history. It involves the death of Captain Thomas F. Mantle, a pilot with the Kentucky Air National Guard, while pursuing an unidentified aerial object. On that day, the Kentucky State Police and the military base Fort Knox received reports of a large circular object in the sky. Thomas, along with other pilots, took off to pursue the object. According to the eyewitness reports, the aircraft climbed to a tremendous altitude during the pursuit of the object. Unfortunately, Thomas's plane crashed and he lost his life. The official cause of death was determined to be oxygen deprivation due to the high altitude of the aircraft. However, reports of the incident immediately led to speculation and controversy. The nature of the object that Thomas was pursuing remains a subject of debate. Initial reports suggested that it was a flying saucer or UFO of extraterrestrial origin. However, later investigations by the U.S. Air Force concluded that Thomas was likely pursuing a weather balloon associated with a top-secret project. Do you believe that story?
What is it with these reflections where we clearly see something and then suddenly we don't? It's like that myth about vampires in which their reflections are not visible in mirrors. So how to explain this, that first through the window we see fire in the bushes, and when the camera looks next to the window, the fire in the bush has disappeared? Pretty strange, right?
A diver named Jacob Child spent over 6 hours alone in the ocean after drifting off from his dive group. He was completely lost and thought no one would ever come to his rescue. Fortunately, things ended well, and he later revealed that he heard the helicopters, but they couldn't find him. He was very desperate and decided to film his last thoughts. At one point he said, "So that's it? The sun goes down and they don't do anything? So that was it for Jakey?" He also said that it took far too long to spend so much time alone in the water, and all he tried to think about was drinking a nice hot cup of tea. It seemed like days to him, but miraculously he was saved. It didn't happen until the end of the afternoon. After he was rescued, he said he wasn't exhausted, but that it shouldn't have taken much longer. After seeing this video in which a moose runs across water, you've probably seen it all. After all, how is this even possible? The moose is filmed by people on a boat and was made somewhere in Alaska. Even if you've never seen a moose in real life, you may know that they can get very big. Just watch this video where one of them is walking down the street in the middle of traffic. By the way, did you know that they are the largest mammals in North America? According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Wildlife, moose are considered the largest members of the deer family. They average about 5 to 6.5 feet or 1.5 to 2 meters tall from hoof to shoulder. And then back to this video. Because how is it possible for this elk to sprint across the water? On land, moose sometimes seem awkward already. So the fact that he runs across the water is pretty mysterious.
Ever heard of that theory of eternal return? That the universe is always repeated and will continue to repeat itself infinitely? It's sometimes said that every person has a double on Earth, but how bizarre is it when we see the same woman with 3 of her 4 doubles on a train? Or 3 men who look exactly the same? Would this be proof that our world is actually a simulation?
The origin of the Fiji mermaid can be traced to Japan, where it was purchased and brought to the United States by a fisherman. The story goes that in 1822, a Brit named J. Griffin arrived in New York City, claiming to possess a mermaid captured near the Fiji Islands in the South Pacific Ocean. The news reached the press, and reporters demanded to see the mermaid. After catching a glimpse of what Griffin had brought, they were convinced of its authenticity. The Fiji mermaid was subsequently brought to the American Museum of Natural History. Although the exact origin of this mermaid itself is unclear, some people believe that the Fiji mermaid has the upper body of a monkey and the tail of a fish. In this video, we see Stanley, a rabbit plushie ghost darting past in a room of adults and children. However, the room they're in is the infamous Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The hotel is known for its beautiful architecture and breathtaking mountain views, but it's also gained a reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. Stephen King's The Shining was inspired here, and the hotel offers paranormal tours. Guests have reported seeing the ghost of Flora Stanley, the founder's wife, as well as ghostly children playing in the hallways. Room 217 in particular is known for its paranormal activity, with reports of moving objects and ghostly encounters. In this video, a rabbit-like toy maneuvers through the room and initially goes unnoticed by anyone. It was only later upon reviewing the video that the family got chills down their spine. Spooky experiences are relatively common at the Stanley Hotel. However, the animated toy appears to have a life of its own, running across the floor and darting between the legs of unsuspecting people. Pretty strange, isn't it? Irish rock, also known as Uluru, holds a mysterious reputation in Australia. The massive sandstone monolith, located in the heart of the country, has long been considered sacred by the local Anangu people, who view it as a spiritual place. However, over the years, numerous tourists have taken rocks as souvenirs. Those who have taken rocks from the Uluru have often experienced a series of misfortunes and bad luck. For instance, there's a story of a man named Steve Hill who admitted to stealing a small rock, but later returned it due to the negative consequences he encountered. He claimed to have experienced a series of accidents and had to undergo expensive repairs to his vehicle after taking the rock. Each year, the Uluru-Kata Tajuta National Park receives numerous packages containing rocks and sand sent back by remorseful tourists. Some individuals have waited for years, even decades, to return their stolen mementos. Sending back the rocks is seen as an attempt to seek forgiveness and alleviate the alleged curse. Under Australian law, visitors can face fines of up to $8,500 for removing rocks. This next event isn't about UFOs, but did capture government attention, primarily due to the involvement of celebrities. The Varsity Blues scandal refers to a high-profile criminal case that came to light in March 2019 and involved fraudulent college admissions in the United States. A scandal was unveiled in which affluent parents, including celebrities and business people, used illegal means to secure admission for their children into universities. The mastermind behind the scheme was William Rick Singer, a college admissions consultant. He arranged fraudulent test scores and fabricated athletic profiles to make it appear that students were recruited as athletes, even if they had no prior athletic experience. Parents involved in the scandal paid substantial sums of money to this organization, which was a non-profit entity used to disguise the bribes as charitable donations. The scandal implicated various prominent individuals, including actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin, who were among the most prominent defendants. The aftermath of the scandal led to numerous arrests, criminal prosecutions, and legal proceedings against those involved. It also sparked a nationwide conversation about privilege, justice, and flaws in the college admissions process.
Of course, every person should follow the traffic rules properly, but it seems that this next person did so, but still got into a collision. The strange thing is that the car was alone on the road. As we can see, he gets a collision, but not with another car, but with the sky or a transparent wall. This video remains a big mystery. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Some people believe that sometimes saints appear on Earth and that they can see them. Like angels, the saints help others or give certain signs for something important. In 1996, people saw the image of the Virgin Mary appear on the side of a large office building, and it was on the glass on the outside. The image was huge and filled the entire building. But what did it mean? The image remained visible there for a while, and more than 600,000 people traveled there to see the miracle. The people who arrived there began to pray. They cried, lit candles, and brought flowers. One couple even got married there. It's hard to explain what it was, but many people saw the Virgin Mary and believed it was a sign. It's not often that a boxer steps in the ring with an invisible person, let alone gets knocked out by him while a crowd is cheering in the background. Let's face it, this is just a very strange video. Boxing is a tough sport, but could you imagine going up against someone completely invisible? What would your strategy be if you had to fight someone with invisible superpowers? Or what do you think happened in this video, and how is this possible? Could the video have been manipulated with digital animation? Is he fighting a ghost, or could we be dealing with a glitch in the Matrix after all?
A highway is the last place you want to cross, especially when cars are racing by fast. This video footage, taken in Chile, shows the terrifying moment when we see two cars racing by and then a dog teleporting out of nowhere. Where exactly did the dog come from? It literally looks like he appeared in the middle of the road. Or if he was there before, how could the cars avoid him? Do you know?
Antonio was a Brazilian farmer in the 1950s, with one of the strangest and most undeniable stories of UFO abductions. To escape the scorching heat of the day, he began plowing fields at night. One night, he saw an approaching spaceship emitting a curious red light. The craft descended slowly and landed in a nearby field. He tried to run away, but was dragged to their spaceship by 4 small humanoid beings. The aliens took tissue samples from his body, and even subjected him to toxic gas that caused serious illness, and forced him to have sexual intercourse with a female alien. Antonio described her as incredibly attractive, with blonde hair and enchanting blue cat-like eyes. Afterwards, he was returned and attempted to tell his story, but was met with disbelief. Contrary to popular belief, Antonio became a lawyer and never changed his story. He reportedly even made models of the spaceship he had seen, an indication of his civilized and creative nature. One of the most intriguing aspects of his alleged abduction is the physical toll that it had on its body. Reports and subsequent medical examinations revealed a series of injuries sustained while under the control of these aliens. According to Sosinski, a dedicated Bigfoot and Sasquatch researcher, Vermont, a state in the USA, serves as an ideal habitat for these creatures. To support his claims with evidence, he recalls a remarkable incident from September 2010. He managed to capture an image of a Bigfoot on a trail camera on his property. The sightings of Bigfoot in Vermont, however, can be traced back even further, with reports starting in the late 70s and early 80s. Notably, a professor and his daughter also claimed to have encountered these elusive beings somewhere in Vermont. Sosinski suggests that the area attracts Bigfoots due to its vast, undisturbed private properties and remote landscapes. The remote nature of the state also provides an ideal hiding place for these creatures to thrive undisturbed. Specifically, areas like Rutland and Hubbardton consistently report sightings due to the dense forests and secluded areas in the region. In North America particularly, the Northwest stories circulate about massive long-haired creatures wandering through the woods. They occasionally instill fear in campers, loggers, hikers, and others. Do you think this sighting is indeed a Bigfoot sighting? The Demon Core incident is a tragic event in the history of nuclear physics that occurred in the mid-20th century. It was a spherical mass of plutonium-239, slightly larger than a tennis ball, used in the Manhattan Project. On August 21, 1945, the first fatal incident occurred at the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico. Physicist Harry Dalian accidentally dropped a tungsten carbide brick onto the core, causing the plutonium to go supercritical. This resulted in a burst of radiation that he absorbed, leading to his death 25 days later due to acute radiation sickness. Less than a year later, physicist Louis Slotin conducted an experiment at the Los Alamos Laboratory involving the core and beryllium reflector. While manually separating the two using a screwdriver, the screwdriver slipped, causing an immediate criticality incident. The core briefly went critical, releasing a burst of radiation. Luis reacted quickly, using his hand to separate the two, preventing a larger release of radiation. However, he received a lethal dose of radiation in the process. On December 9, 1965, in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, USA, a UFO was reportedly seen by numerous witnesses streaking through the sky in several states, including Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Many described it as a bright, fiery object with a trailing tail. Witnesses reported that the object changed direction and appeared to descend towards the Kecksburg area, where some residents claimed to have witnessed it crash in a wooded area. Some likened it to an acorn or bell-shaped craft with a hieroglyphic-like marking on its surface. Others also report the object emitted a blue light and smoke. After the crash, there were reports of a presence of military and government personnel in the area. It's alleged that the military personnel wore radiation suits, quarantined the crash site, and removed the object on a flatbed truck. Officially, both the U.S. Air Force and NASA denied involvement in this incident. The Air Force initially stated that the sightings was caused by a meteorite breakup in the atmosphere, while NASA suggested it was likely the re-entry of a Russian satellite. However, these explanations were met with skepticism, and there's individuals who believe that this was a cover-up.
This video is pretty terrifying, showing not one, but two suns on the horizon. Before you come to the logical conclusion that one is the sun and the other is the moon, the filmmaker shows where the real moon is. So what is the other star or planet hovering near the sun? Is it an extra sun? And why is it shining so brightly? What do you think?
Courage is certainly a miracle, as not many people are brave enough to be able to help others in a dangerous situation. In this event, a woman was trapped in her own car in the middle of the river. The water came up to her neck and she could not open the door to get out. After calling the emergency number, the police arrived. A brave policeman jumped into the water to save the woman's life, and another officer joined him to try to open the car door together. The officer succeeded and eventually saved the woman's life. The officers did tell them that it was very difficult to open the door of the car. Fortunately, these people were brave enough to jump into the water. Have you ever done something brave yourself? Let me know in the comments. Rain falling in only one place is something you thought only happens in cartoons, right? But no. In this video, we see the rain falling down in the middle of the street in a specific spot. Cars even ended up having to drive around it instead of through it, because the spot keeps getting bigger. However, strange weather phenomena are not unheard of. From time to time, things are observed in the sky that you normally only see in movies. For example, look at this photo from Italy in which we see a kind of cigar-like cloud. You start to wonder what other surprises Mother Nature has in store for our Earth.
The next time you see a picture of someone on a bicycle, look at the shadow. This could be a very good way to tell if a photo has been photoshopped or not. But these next photos by Chinese photographer Zhao Hazan are pretty well made. We see, in fact, people sitting on a bicycle that appears to be floating as if it were a glitch in the Matrix. And the shadows? Those can be seen in this case as well.
In 2015, scientists unveiled the mummified remains of a child, encased in a cocoon of birch bark and copper. The combination of these materials, along with the permafrost, accidentally mummified the body. The body of this boy was aged 6 to 7 years old, and he was almost entirely well preserved. The remains were carefully wrapped in 2 layers of fur, one of which was reindeer skin. He was also buried with a bronze pendant in the shape of a bear. At this point, experts consider it premature to determine whether the boy belonged to an elite group of people. However, the way he was buried stands out compared to previous finds at this remote location, where no adult woman had been found. Notable differences include the absence of a wooden sarcophagus for the child. During previous archaeological excavations at the medieval site, a total of 35 shallow graves were discovered, with 11 bodies. Remarkably, 5 mummies were found, wrapped in intricate layers of copper, adorned with luxurious fur of reindeer, beavers, wolverines, or bears. Wallabies are marsupials that look like kangaroos, and they're usually found in Australia and Tasmania. What doesn't make any sense is that the population of wild wallabies were mysteriously found in the Isle of Man, which is an island in the middle of the Irish Sea. Here the wallabies have no natural predators and can eat in peace and quiet and fill their stomachs with grass. In the past, this strange and misplaced population stayed in the north of the island, but recently they have started to be found in the south. The question is, how did they end up on this island? One popular theory blames the escape of a pair of wallabies from a nearby wildlife park in the 1970s. Another theory says that someone put 2 wallabies on the island. A significant portion of the population believes that most, if not all, governments around the world are keeping the existence of extraterrestrial beings a secret. Whether it's for sinister reasons or simply to prevent mass panic among the general public, we don't know. In the United States alone, there are countless incidents or locations associated with aliens or UFOs. The most famous is the Roswell incident, where a UFO allegedly crashed on a farm and the US military threatened to cover it up. In this video, you can see the US Navy preparing for the landing of what appears to be a fleet of UFOs somewhere in Somalia. The video is said to be from February 2008, but there's very little info available about it. The US Navy doesn't seem to panic as you might expect when suddenly confronted with the fact that we're not alone in the universe. When the US Navy tries to get closer, the fleet of UFOs suddenly takes off. So unfortunately, we don't know how this confrontation ended. The legend of the haunted Barbie doll on Pulau Ubin Island in Singapore tells the story of a young German girl who tragically lost her life and remained as a spirit on the island. The island is known for its natural beauty and is one of the last places in Singapore untouched by urban development. On this island stands a notable yellow shrine where people come to pray and offer sacrifices for gambling luck. However, the story dates back to the 1910s, when a British family resided on the island. The family had a young daughter who, out of fear, fled into the dense forest to escape approaching British troops. The girl disappeared into the darkness and was never seen again. Eventually, she was found, and as a somber act of respect, laborers covered her body with sand and adorned it with flowers. Over the years, local villagers have reported sightings of the girl's spirit, keeping the legend of the nameless girl on the island alive. In her honor, a shrine was erected, and peculiar offerings have been made, including the haunted Barbie doll. It's believed that the doll appeases her spirit. On September 27, 1989, an alleged extraterrestrial encounter reportedly took place in Voronezh, a city in southwestern Russia. The incident garnered significant attention due to the number of witnesses, including children. According to accounts from multiple witnesses, a large object descended and landed in a park. The object was described as metallic and had a dome top. Witnesses claimed that a hatch opened on this large-shaped object, revealing three strange beings. These beings were described as humanoid in appearance, about 10 feet or 3 meters tall, with large heads and glowing eyes. Furthermore, they were dressed in silver suits and moved in a robotic or mechanical manner. One of the witnesses reported that one of the beings held a small device that emitted a beam of light and briefly encased a boy in a small transparent sphere. Other people said they felt paralyzed or experienced a sense of fear when the UFO landed. Some witnesses also claimed to have seen a floating robotic device near the UFO.
Picture this. You're driving in your car and you stare at a passerby and decide to do a double take because something strange is going on. The man seems to be walking at a natural speed, but his head is nowhere to be seen. Even zombies don't survive without their heads. Could this be proof that our world is a computer simulation and the character's head was not loaded properly?
You've probably looked up into the sky and seen something that you perhaps couldn't explain. But of course, this could also depend on your imagination. For some people, however, if they see something special in the sky, it's a sign for something. Although you can take many different forms in the clouds, this man seems to have very clearly captured Buddha on camera. Unfortunately, I couldn't find where this was filmed. The miracle appears only to quickly disappear again. But you recognize Buddha immediately. Do you think it was a particular sign of something to someone? Or is this our imagination or just sight gags? You would think that people with superpowers, such as the ability to disappear, become invisible, or teleport somewhere else, would want you to keep this hidden. But in this case, something very unusual was caught on camera. The news was showing a high-speed car chase somewhere in the United States. A criminal had stolen a car and was being chased by the police. But during the chase, the car with the criminal disappears out of nowhere. People in the comments think this is a glitch in the Matrix, or maybe the person was a time traveler.
There's a theory that birds are not real and are drones sent by governments. This may sound a bit far-fetched, but how else do we explain these kinds of videos where we see birds hanging still in the air? Could they be drones after all? Or is this some other explanation as to why the birds somehow stay still in the air? As if some invisible force is pulling it or holding it in place.
Jenny Hanivers, also known as devilfish, has been a source of fascination and deception since at least the 16th century. These peculiar creations were often sold as mummified dragons, mermaids, or other fantastical creatures by sailors. They are dried and heavily manipulated specimens of rays, skates, or sea devils to produce a type of cryptid. Typically, the nostrils and mouth located on the underside of the creature are positioned as the face of the fabricated creature. Various parts are then manipulated to create the illusion of wings, legs, and monstrous appendages. The side fins are bent over the back, and the true eyes of the creature are concealed. The precise origin of the name Jenny Haniver remains uncertain, but a prevailing theory suggests that it may be derived from a French expression. In this video, we see some boys swimming somewhere in Brazil in a lake near a wooded area. But what happens next is pretty creepy. One of the boys filming notices a strange creature watching them, making the boys uncomfortable. Unfortunately, there's little info available about this video. But when the creature suddenly runs from the right side to the left side of the screen, the boys get frightened and quickly try to get out of the water. Someone in the comments suggests that there may be a cave behind the boys where the creature comes from. A sudden movement catches the boys' attention, and you can see the moment when their voices and actions change to fleeing.
Maybe it's an animal, or maybe it's something extraterrestrial emerging from the depths of the cave. Since the cave seems to be located in a forest near a lake, you start to wonder what else might be hiding in the area. Perhaps it was a member of an uncontacted tribe, as there are several such groups living in the Brazilian forests. What do you think the boys captured on camera here? Let me know in the comments.
The Zamora incident, also known as the Lonnie Zamora sighting, is an alleged UFO sighting that occurred on April 24, 1964, near Socorro in New Mexico. Lonnie Zamora was a police officer who reported seeing a strange craft and encountered two individuals near the object. The incident garnered significant attention from the media, UFO researchers, and the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book. According to Zamora's account, he heard a loud roar and saw a flame in the sky while chasing a speeding car. He then observed a shiny O-shaped object on the ground with two figures nearby. Lonnie described the object as white and made of aluminum. He also reported seeing a blue and orange flame beneath the object before it ascended into the sky and quickly flew away. Some theories suggest that Lonnie may have witnessed a mirage of the star Canopus, or the testing of a lunar landing module by White Sands Missile Range personnel. Others propose that it was a hoax perpetuated by students from the nearby New Mexico Tech. Nevertheless, the case remains classified as unidentified by Project Blue Book.
Luciano Fagiano is a man who bought a building in Lecce, Italy with the intention of turning it into a restaurant. However, one of the toilets was broken, so he decided to dig a hole himself to fix it. But what he found under the toilets were a number of corridors. Then he found artifacts that were thousands of years old. Now Lecce is known as a historic city with a rich history. But what Luciano found beyond that was very special. With the help of his two sons, he began an entire excavation mission. They eventually uncovered a Roman granary, which was once used to store grain and other goods. They also found a Franciscan chapel with thousands of artifacts and etchings of the Knights Templar. The Dyatlov Pass incident refers to the mysterious and tragic deaths of 9 experienced hikers in the Ural Mountains of Russia in February 1959. The hiking group, consisting of 8 men and 2 women, was in the northern part of the Soviet Union. They embarked on an expedition to reach the summit of Otertin, a mountain in the Ural Mountains. However, when they did not return as planned, a search and rescue operation was initiated. Several days later, the hikers' bodies were discovered in a remote area, scattered over a distance of about half a mile or a kilometer. The bodies exhibited unusual injuries, including broken ribs, a skull fracture, and one of the victims was missing her tongue. Their tent was reported to have been torn open from the inside, suggesting they had tried to flee in panic. Footprints in the snow indicated that some of the hikers had fled barefoot or only in socks. Despite the freezing cold, the Russian government's investigation also revealed the presence of radiation on some of the hikers' clothing. What on earth happened to them? What do you think?
Cats defy gravity every chance they get, but remember that scene from the Matrix movie where we see a cat pass by twice, or in other words, a deja vu moment? In this next video, a similar thing happens. The cat walks alarmingly long in the same spot, almost as if it were a video game character stuck or loading.
We all know that cats have 9 lives, but what about humans? This next man apparently has at least 3 lives, because after being struck by lightning twice, he's still alive. But could this video footage be real? We can see this unfortunate man being struck by lightning 2 times. The bizarre thing is that the people who passed this man nearby were unharmed. Both times, the man manages to get up and continues walking as if nothing had happened. About 90% of people who are struck by lightning survive, but often they are left with confusion, headaches, memory problems, or other problems. If this video is real or not, I have no idea. But you must be very lucky to get struck by lightning 2 times in a row, but also very lucky to still be alive.
Have you ever gone out and found someone wearing the same shirt as you? Or have you ever had a deja vu? Deja vu means having an experience where you've experienced something before. But how bizarre is it when you meet someone on the street who looks exactly the same and also wears the same clothes? And is such a thing a coincidence or something else going on? The probability of something like this happening is also incredibly low. In the following video, we see Laura Bundox, a political correspondent who was doing a report in front of the camera, when something strange was noticed. Behind her in the background, another woman was wearing exactly the same clothes. What are the odds of the 2 women wearing the same black coat and the same orange scarf, and then running into each other?
Icicles are formed because water from melting snow freezes again. In the following video, in which we see a floating icicle, is not really explainable. People in the comments giving theories, including the icicle might be stuck with a thin hair or a spider web. How do you think this icicle is floating in the sky? Let me know in the comments.
Juana Maria is an indigenous woman. She is known for her 18 years of solitude on the Channel Islands in 19th century California. While the indigenous population of the islands gradually moved to the mainland, Juana Maria chose to remain behind, even as the last of her people departed in 1835 via a boat. The reasons behind her decision to stay on the island are quite unclear, though the legend suggests that she was initially brought to the boat but defiantly leaped into the water, swimming back to the shore to be with her infant. For another 18 years, she lived on the island, initially with her son, who tragically perished in a boating accident. In 1853, a captain led a hunting expedition to San Nicolas Island. During their stay on the island, the woman resided in a hut partially constructed from whale bones. She also inhabited a nearby cave, survived on dry meat, and kept track of time with a notched stick. During their monthly visit, her crew unexpectedly encountered Juana Maria. When the captain of the crew returned to California, the woman accompanied them. While she may not have been the last surviving member of her people, she's considered the last original speaker of her native language. You know a frightening story? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.